Part 1 of our exclusive deep dive. The House of Chanel speaks its piece. Meghan Markle's worldwide ban, released on February 11th, 2026, clocking in at 5,000 characters, precisely at 3:41 in the afternoon, on the 7th of February, 2026. The Duchess arrived. Decked out in a bespoke white cape and massive shades, she tried walking into the main Chanel boutique on North Rodeo in Beverly Hills. She anticipated the usual hush-hush treatment, bowing staff, and that smooth slide right into the VIP room. Instead, she hit a wall. Two security guards planted themselves like statues, quiet but unyielding, blocking her path to those famous interlocking Cs. Nobody called for a supervisor. Zero apologies offered. A guard just stated flatly, "Our orders are to refuse. Service to you." For someone previously touted as the fashion world's charitable darling, this was a shocking flip. Yet it was no error. No confusion here. This stemmed from a calculated, permanent, and planet-wide ruling finalized weeks back at Chanel HQ on Rue Cambon in Paris. A move so scarce and total that industry sources called it dropping the bomb. Beneath the posh exterior of couture, the brand executed a strategic play. They barred Meghan Markle from every shop, gallery, and party around the globe. No walking in, no bookings, no browsing, zero swag bags. In their book, this went beyond banning. It was total deletion. Onlookers say she stopped cold, gripped tight on her mobile while typing. She stood silent for a few moments. Then, the breakdown started. A worker from the shop next door watched it all go down from the Dior entrance. Meghan dialed Harry once. She marched back and forth like a nervous tick. The observer claimed she repeated, "They're done. I promise they're gone. Nobody embarrasses me like that." In 20 minutes, Harry showed up, hood up, looking washed out and tense. He had a quick word with the security chief, who just gave a nod, followed by a single headshake. Zero wiggle room. Harry didn't fight it. He supposedly looked at his wife and muttered, voice low and flat, "Let's just leave, please." She wouldn't move. Stayed put for another 12 minutes. That was plenty of time for 3 videos to hit the web. One clip shows her finger wagging at the door, clearly lip-reading as, "You have no idea who I am." The brand ignored press inquiries. No need to comment, as a long-timer in the biz told us. Their silence is the message. We looked at secret files that show the company's ban procedure is hardly ever used, known inside the house as times retrait, definitive times total withdrawal. This rule targets people who break the brand's moral code, betray trust, or cause image damage through constant drama, or try to bully the design and business crews. In her situation, she hit the trifecta. Insiders verify the official order to start the ban was greenlit in December 2025 by Bruno Pavlovsky, the fashion president, and Françoise Montanet, the ex-chair of the oversight board and top consultant to the Wertheimer family. Privately, the hammer dropped after the brand's integrity team put together a file. That report didn't just have Meghan's spilled emails asking for co-designer status on a limited bag run back in early 2023, but also statements from 4 ex-employees calling her calculating, patronizing, and fixated on spinning the story. Although the Beverly Hills standoff grabbed the news, the actual break occurred 14 months prior during a secret tour of the Paris atelier on December 5, 2024. She was brought in off the books by a stylist pal from the States, supposedly to look into a cultural partnership. Once she got there, though, she reportedly claimed she was a creative partner from Archewell and demanded to view drafts for the Métier's 2025 collection. She didn't just inquire. A worker in the studio said she started issuing orders. She pushed to name a specific detail after herself, told them to lose the French rigidity, and asked how. Much power Karl Lagerfeld wielded, hinting she should get equal footing. The vibe, our contacts say, froze over immediately. She didn't get it at all, noted a brand historian who saw the whole thing. This place isn't a launch pad for your ego. It's a heritage, a shrine, and shrines don't bow to strangers. After that trip, Bruno Pavlovsky sat down with Virginie Viard, the creative head at the time, and labeled the Duchess as a tactical liability. A few days after, they scrubbed her name from the Métier d'Art show in Manchester. The ban was just step one. What most people didn't catch is that this sparked a massive pullback, rippling through the highest tiers of European couture. Our deep dive revealed that heavy hitters like Dior, Givenchy, Balmain, and Bottega Veneta were all sent off-the-record warnings from their comms chiefs tagging Meghan as a Tier 3 liability. It is a label you almost never see, reserved specifically for big names who bring volatile drama without bringing in any actual business revenue. One high-level public relations expert at LVMH, who agreed to talk only if we kept their name out of it, put it this way: people see her as an agitator, but not the artistic kind, the kind that drags you into court. While the open hostility between the Duchess and Chanel might have blown up in February 2026. Those in the loop know the cracks started forming way back in the Friday, spring of 2023. During a hushed but aggressive standoff referred to by insiders as the Mood Board War. The prize was a proposed capsule collection, Archewell x Chanel, that never saw the light of day, and there is a reason for that. What began as a few feeling out chats rapidly devolved into a massive culture clash between one of the planet's most carefully protected luxury houses and a woman dead set on rewriting their history to fit her narrative. It went from dialogue to disaster fast. Back in May 2023, Meghan and Vanessa Lauren, her advisor at Archewell, contacted the American press team at Chanel through a third-party rep, Zara Carmichael, who used to do PR for Goop. The idea? A limited-run humanitarian collection that would mash up Coco Chanel's heritage with Meghan's modern brand of female empowerment. The initial reply from Chanel was courteous but cool. Internal memos we pulled from a compromised PR server characterized the approach as pushy, entitled, and completely out of touch with how the brand operates. Despite the warning signs, they set up a sit-down for June 14, 2023, in New York City, involving Chanel's head of U.S. brand relations and the Sussex team. That meeting would go down in history. Several people in the room verified that Meghan showed up with a slide deck called Reimagining Chanel, From Exclusivity to Empathy. Her pitch included bullet points on swapping out the iconic interlocking Cs for a subtle aero-floral design on a range of silk accessories, kicking off the promo blitz using real women instead of catwalk pros, with herself front and center as the spokesperson, and debuting a collection of eco-friendly purses honoring female royalty, specifically featuring a bag dubbed the Diana when the executives asked if she had official permission to use the late princess's name. Meghan allegedly shot back, "I carry her legacy. I don't need a license to honor it." Then came the leaked concept art. Within 7 days, digital mock-ups, supposedly built by Meghan's creative staff, surfaced on the web. Vintage shots of Princess Diana in Chanel suits. Black and white overlays of Meghan wearing nearly identical looks. A slide with the header From Grief to Glamour. The Heirloom Collection. According to our contact inside Chanel's legal department in Paris, this leak set off an immediate ethics alarm. The issue was not just the style, the source clarified. It was the suggestion that Chanel's history could be used as a prop to rewrite someone else's biography. That is not brand synergy. That is theft. The leadership team at Chanel convened an emergency summit on June 26, 2023. And by July 1st, all ties with Arcoel were severed. A directive to stop all engagement went out to regional offices. The initiative died quietly and officially, but behind the scenes, it was messy. As for the fallout, reports suggest Meghan did not handle the no gracefully. In emails that were later exposed by anonymous sources, she vented to a close friend. "They used me for headlines and then slammed the door, but I will get bigger than them. I always do." By the end of 2024, Meghan stopped mentioning Chanel in the press. No more casual name drops of number 5. No more Chanel-esque ensembles at public events. Instead, she pivoted to Valentino, Carolina Herrera, and self-portrait labels seen as more open to Hollywood clout. However, according to a stylist who briefly handled her wardrobe for Netflix, the wound went deeper. She became fixated on showing she did not need Chanel. Yet every time she put on a French label, she would ask, "Does this look Parisian enough to make a statement?" It was personal. It was a battle of brand identities. Fashion experts argue the Chanel-Meghan split represents a larger conflict between heritage houses and celebrity influencers. Chanel, much like Hermès or Rolex, deals in mystique, history, and absolute control. Meghan's camp, on the other hand, runs on modern velocity, viral moments, social justice hype, and fast-paced trends. As one French executive explained to us, Meghan never grasped that Chanel is not there to help her evolve. And in Paris, that distinction is everything. Exclusive investigative report. Part 3. 12 Minutes of Silence. The Showdown at Chanel Beverly Hills. Published February 11th, 2026. Length capped at 5,000 characters. Part 3. 12 Minutes of Silence. On a sunny afternoon, February 7th, 2026, the vibe on North Rodeo Drive was the standard mix of opulence and quiet until 3:41 p.m., when a surprise guest caused a scene. The most rigid label in high fashion. Meghan Markle, accompanied by her assistant Greta Yu and stylist in training, Eliza Morrow, stepped out of a black Cadillac Escalade and headed straight for the Chanel flagship in Beverly Hills, expecting the VIP treatment. Instead, she walked into the complete opposite. A total corporate freeze-out in broad daylight. What came next was 12 minutes of dead silence caught by onlookers, gossiped about by the elite, and only now exposed in full detail. The shut doors of a legacy house. Going by the time-stamped security logs we obtained from an internal report, Meghan hit the entrance at 3:41 and 12 seconds in the afternoon. Two uniformed Chanel security guards, Miguel R. and Sophie L., both seasoned retail pros, stepped up in perfect sync. Sophie, blocking the doorway, delivered the line she was drilled to use only for the worst scenarios. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We have orders not to grant you access. No screaming, no fighting." Meghan just blinked once and replied in a flat tone, "I have a standing agreement with your global director. Check it again." Miguel kept a poker face. "Our system shows no open appointments. We have been told this applies across all regions." Saying across all regions was a calculated move. It meant this wasn't just a local glitch. This was worldwide and permanent. Onlookers say Meghan kept her cool for the first 60 seconds, dialing Harry. At 3:43 and 9 seconds, Meghan took out her phone and started pacing right outside the black velvet rope. According to staff over at the neighboring Valentino and Fendi shops, she was definitely on a live call with Prince Harry, who was supposedly back at their Montecito home when she called. She was overheard saying things like, "They are going to regret this. Get Bruno on the line." One witness claimed she wasn't trying to be quiet. She wanted to be seen. She wanted them to feel the heat, Our palace insiders say Prince Harry, who had supposedly been warned about the Chanel blacklist weeks before, begged her to get out of there, fearing a viral moment. His voice, picked up by a nearby shopper's audio recording, sounded hushed and desperate. "Meg, not like this. Just leave, please." Meghan didn't budge. The internal comms were buzzing while this drama unfolded on the sidewalk. Inside the boutique, employees watched on a hidden security monitor. One employee, asking to stay nameless, described the vibe as tense but scripted. "We got clear orders last week. If she shows up, don't engage, don't escalate, don't take photos, just hold," the line. That directive came straight from Chanel's vice president of the Americas, who allegedly sent an internal note on February 1, 2026, listing Meghan Markle as a Tier 1 non-engagement subject. The wording left zero doubt. She was persona non grata, not just in Paris, but everywhere. The situation escalated by 3:47. Meghan changed her strategy. Witnesses claim she started filming herself, speaking into her phone with a voice that swung between calm and staged outrage. At one point, she motioned to the doors and said, "This is how they treat women who use their voice. They want silence, not creativity." That video never went up, but sources say she shot it straight to her PR strategist, Andrea Fielding, with the subject line, "Use this if we go. Nuclear." Then came the real shocker. According to Eliza Morrow, speaking to our reporter on condition of anonymity, Meghan turned to a small group of pedestrians and publicly named a Chanel regional director, accusing him of corporate bullying and being an ethical coward. She didn't care who was listening, Eliza noted. In fact, she wanted an audience. She thought it would force Chanel to lift the ban. It didn't work. At exactly 3:53 and 21 seconds, Prince Harry showed up unshaven, baseball cap low, jacket undone. Witnesses say he didn't look mad, he just looked exhausted. One shop employee said, "It was like watching a guy walk into a storm he has seen a million times." He walked up to Meghan, touched her elbow, and said 5 words, "We need to go, now." She jerked away at first, then gave in. They left without saying another word. The doors stayed shut. That evening, at 9:12 p.m., a message hit the internal Chanel Slack for all senior client managers globally. It read, "If anyone asks, stick to standard client protocols. No external comments. Our stance hasn't changed." Behind the curtain, other luxury brands were paying close attention. By the next morning, Dior and Balenciaga had quietly told their LA boutiques to double-check their internal access lists. In luxury retail speak, that meant check. If Meghan is on your welcome list. If she is, think about taking her off. What is most haunting about those 12 minutes isn't the fight, it is the silence. No official statement came out, no apology was given, no reasoning was needed. In the world of haute couture, where diplomacy is stitched into every seam, this wasn't just a public scenza incident. It wasn't just a scene, it was a total public lockout. The doors didn't just shut quietly, they stayed bolted with serious intent. Exclusive investigative deep dive, Part 4. When Paris turns away, the cold shoulder from the fashion elite toward Meghan Markle is freezing. Published February 11th, 2026. Word count hitting 5,000 characters. The gilded halls of Parisian haute couture pride themselves on discretion, but when they shun you, that silence screams. In the weeks since Meghan Markle's viral rejection at the Beverly Hills Chanel boutique, a quiet but synchronized freeze-out swept through France's top fashion houses. From the plush salons of Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré to the marble headquarters overlooking Place Vendôme, the power players agreed. Meghan Markle is out. And, in Paris, once your name is scrubbed from the lists, there is no undo button. According to exclusive intel from a high-level insider, a private sit-down happened on February 9th, 2026, hosted by a major player in the Comité Colbert, the elite group representing France's luxury prestige. Representatives showed up from LVMH, owners of Dior, Givenchy, Louis Vuitton, and the Kering Group, owning Balenciaga, Saint Laurent, and Bottega Veneta. Chanel, still privately held by the Wertheimer family, was there too, with Hermès and Celine in advisory spots. No official minutes were dropped, but a leaked summary exposes the verdict. Until further notice, Meghan Markle is scrubbed from every guest list, showroom log, press kit, and influencer deal. The language wasn't emotional, it was clinical. They labeled the reasoning PR contamination, risk. While Chanel made the first public move, the other houses wasted zero time locking down the perimeter. Dior, once rumored to be eyeing Meghan as a face for the brand, issued a hush-hush order: stop sending clothes and stop talking to her talent managers. Givenchy, where Meghan got her famous 2018 wedding dress under the late Claire Waite-Keller, refused to go on record. But a source near the current team kept it real. We are focusing on fresh talent, not reruns of drama. Balmain went even harder. A planned sit-down between creative director Olivier Rousteing and Meghan for a digital feminism campaign got axed just days before the shoot. It was too hot to handle, one exec noted. Every conversation turns into a story about her, not the collection. Even Jacquemus, usually known for loving modern celebrity culture, reportedly said, "No, behind every Fashion Week seat is a web of publicists, agents, and stylists deciding who gets styled, seated, and shot." Meghan's name, once a golden ticket, is now a red flag. A top European stylist who worked with Meghan on her Vogue UK shoot in 2019 told us anonymously, "The second we mention her to a brand, there is a pause. Then silence, then a pivot. That is code for drop it." Paris Fashion Week, set for March 4th through the 11th, 2026, released. Its tentative list this week: Meghan is a ghost. Not front row, not backstage, no, press slots. For someone who used to sit next to Anna Wintour, it is a staggering drop. Despite the cold shoulder, Meghan's team has been hustling behind the scenes. Her PR firm, Elmire Strategies, has reportedly pitched at least 5 image rehab stories to big outlets since February 8th. A makeup piece with Harper's Bazaar, a digital cover with In Style about eco-fashion, a podcast guest, spot-on creative chat with Stella McCartney, a photo spread with Marie Claire UK on healing, couture, a TED Talk proposal called Reclaiming Creative Space as a Woman of Color, all of them rejected or ghosted. A major French editor explained, "We aren't judging her politics, we are judging the volatility." She walks in, and it becomes about liability, not luxury. Unlike American media that tiptoes around her narrative, the French press is taking the gloves off. Le Figaro's fashion column ran the headline, "Chanel's silence is louder than words." Gala magazine ran a feature called Duchess à la Mode, From Grace to Grating, The Fall of a Fashion Duchess. Even Vanity Fair France, once in her corner, wrote, "Madame Markle confuses disruption with dominance, but haute couture does not. Bow to ego. Fashion isn't just about being seen, it is about access. That access unlocks the deals, the endorsements, the media push, and the long-term branding. Without it, even the richest figures face cultural exile." One industry vet summed it up perfectly. In this ecosystem, doors open quietly, but when they close, they echo. Right now, every door in Paris is bolted shut. Meghan, once seen as a global disruptor, is now viewed as a cautionary tale. But when Chanel's velvet ropes cut her off, and Paris followed, Meghan Markle didn't just go home. On the low. Sources close to the situation say the Duchess, infamous for steering her own public image, went straight to the lawyers, drafted internal memos, and used subtle threats to snatch back some clout, status, and power within the style industry. But this time around, the old playbook failed. On February 8, 2026, barely 24 hours post-showdown at Chanel Beverly Hills, Meghan's veteran showbiz lawyer, Jonathan Y., set up an urgent conference with the heavy hitters at Levin and O'Donnell, a top-tier litigation outfit out of Manhattan. The objective? See if they could slap Chanel with a discrimination or libel lawsuit, claiming brand damage and missed business deals. Our newsroom got eyes on a leaked draft showing the angles Meghan's camp was looking at. Tortious meddling with career opportunities. Biased, shutout violating California's Unruh Civil Rights Act. Deliberate emotional trauma. Sketchy business. Tactics citing the Paris Treaty guidelines. Internally, they dubbed this Project Salvage. But several legal pros, including an ex-judge from the California Superior Court, waved it off as feelings-based rather than fact-based. There is zero legal ground to force a luxury brand to be your friend. A legal pundit put it simply, that isn't bias, it's business choice. By February 10th, the court plan was scrapped. Meghan, however, wasn't done. Blocked by the law, she pivoted to a familiar move, the strategic press drop. At 11:17 a.m. Pacific on February 9th, an email from Archewell's PR head, Nadia Campbell, went out to more than 40 contacts in fashion, lifestyle, and liberal media circles. The subject read, "A persistent trend, women of color in high-end spaces." We reviewed the email, which spun a tale of institutional shutouts and hidden prejudice. It brought up Meghan's history with the British, tabloids, her time leaving the monarchy, and recent cold shoulders from the fashion elite. It didn't call out Chanel by name, but the context made it obvious who she meant. Recipients included the Cut, Teen Vogue, Refinery 29, LUK, and Birdie. Only one ran a supportive piece, the others passed. Inside, Archewell. The blowback was worse than expected. An employee who quit on February 10th told us there was genuine fear in the air. Meghan needed a win, but the narrative was slipping away. It felt like we were just tossing spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck. Leaked WhatsApp chats we obtained later show Meghan ordering staff to control the spin, push the charity angle harder, and drop the Diana card if necessary. One text said, "Make them remember who I am. Remind them what I've lived through." But the public didn't buy it. From London to LA, PR experts saw the tide turning. Meghan's bid to twist the story started blowing up in her face. Rather than pity, people saw it as a distraction. An unnamed strategist for a big European label said, "This stopped being about clothes. It was about power." Everyone sensed it. Even worse, agencies in New York and Paris started telling talent not to touch anything Meghan-related, citing drama fatigue. In a Slack channel for a leading NYC firm, one rep wrote, "She doesn't move merchandise. She just stirs up drama." The biggest hit didn't come from Meghan's camp, but from the industry itself. On the night of February 10th, a private memo from Bruno Pavlovsky, Chanel's fashion president, popped up anonymously on a closed industry forum called Modelx. Dated January 28, 2026, it said, "Sometimes silence defends the brand better than engaging. This is one of those times," he wrote. "We can't absorb the mess of fame." The choice regarding M. Markle was tactical, not personal. Her team will eventually get it. The note, while confidential, tore through the fashion world. For many, it confirmed what they had guessed. This wasn't just Meghan falling out of grace. It was the whole industry locking the doors. In 1 week, Meghan went from threatening lawsuits to watching her reputation crumble on the exact stages she used to rule. Arkwell's inbox filled up with rejections. Podcast offers vanished. Stylists backed out of possible deals. PR teams added her to do not engage lists. She tried to weaponize the narrative, a top exec noted, but she missed a key principle. In high fashion, if you have to break in, you're already on your way out. 7 days after the Beverly Hills drama, Meghan Markle isn't fighting for a front-row seat. She is scrambling to matter. With Chanel's global ban holding strong and her legal threats dropped, with the elite ateliers locking their gates, the Duchess is facing a cold, hard truth she has simply never encountered on this level before. Systemic exclusion. In the world of couture, that quiet rejection screams louder than words. Sources inside Netflix and Spotify claim the shockwaves from the Chanel snub have already surged way past the runways of Paris or Beverly Hills boutiques. Arkwell Productions was reportedly deep in negotiations to resurrect a documentary focusing on the evolution of royal style. That agreement is now, as one senior exec described it, dead on arrival. The cause? Optics. No label wants ties to a figure whose clout feels artificial or messy. A producer at Netflix clarified this went beyond just Chanel. It actually sparked a total audit of her social currency. We are seeing a parallel scenario at Spotify, where the project has officially been put on ice. Insiders confirm Meghan is discreetly scouting potential new homes internationally, looking at spots like Canada, Switzerland, and Australia. While the PR spin cites a hunt for better schools or a closer connection to nature, her inner circle suggests the drive is far more frantic and profound. A resident in Montecito, talking anonymously, characterized the atmosphere inside their estate as suffocating. Her social circle has evaporated. Drop-ins have stopped. Phone lines go dead. Even stylists are leaving texts on read. Charity gala invites are drying up, too. It feels as if the establishment simply agreed, quietly and unanimously, to move on. Up north in Canada, public sentiment regarding Meghan has cratered since 2020. Data from a confidential poll by a Toronto PR agency shows her approval numbers with female shoppers aged 25 to 45 plummeted 43% just since January. The consensus? She preaches empowerment but acts with privilege. Analysts point to a disconnect between her curated image and her visible actions. Strangely, as the fashion world locks her out, a window back into the palace might be cracking open for Harry. Insiders in the Windsor orbit claim the prince has started making quiet asks about returning to the fold. This wouldn't mean resuming his role as a senior working royal, but more of a low-key re-entry through background charity work or heritage events. But these talks depend entirely on one non-negotiable term, supposedly passed down by Princess Anne and Lady Louise. Windsor, Meghan is out. There is no return ticket for the pair of them, a royal aide stated flatly. The firm is passus, open to Harry, provided he picks service over the drama. By all reports, he is conflicted, yet his buddies claim the Chanel rejection shook him to his core. He witnessed what happens when the politeness stops. A confidant revealed, and it scared him. Underneath all this drama sits a harsh reality. Meghan Markle's image simply isn't selling anymore. Not in Paris, not in Tinseltown, and not even in the sponsored realm of Instagram influencers, where she used to dominate. The Archwell Foundation is suffering from donor burnout, with 2 key backers withdrawing cash since the end of January. Her lifestyle venture is stalled in development hell, with unsold stock from that flop of a jam launch allegedly stuffing 2 storage lockers in Santa Barbara. Her staff has silently ceased chasing fashion deals following 9 straight rejections. For the moment, Meghan stays in California, encircled by a shrinking staff and fewer public defenders than ever. Her formerly staunch supporters in the press, such as Gayle King and Oprah, haven't said a peep during this fallout, nor have past partners like Serena Williams or Tyler Perry. Her next play is a mystery. Some think she will swing hard into a tell-all book or political activism. Others predict a silent exit from the spotlight, driven not by preference, but by lack of options. Yet, those embedded in the luxury sector say the verdict is already set in stone. In high fashion, you don't get a do-over at this altitude. Once you're cut from the list, no email, no sorry, and no press release can get you back through the door. On February 10th, a single photo made the rounds among top stylists and editors. It depicted the Chanel flagship on Rue Cambon. The front was serene, glass shining, doors shut tight. A small sign sat in the window. Asterisk, entrée sur invitation, asterisk, entrance by invitation only. And within that quietude, Meghan Markle's era in couture came to a silent, permanent close.